The way we communicate is essential to our everyday lives. There are visual cues as well as dialectical and tonal cues that we pick up on. The word what can be said by the same person but have many different meanings. For example, when you tell someone bad news, they may reply with, "What?" out of sheer shock and utter disbelief. Or a student could be confused by a math problem and say, "What?" when the teacher asks them to solve it. What would it be like if you were blind or deaf? I feel as though to function in the world, you need to be able to communicate, and by missing one of your senses, your ability is altered. What about the words that are deemed inappropriate and how they are perceived in our daily lives? What words are considered appropriate and why? I understand why derogatory terms are deemed offensive because when they are said, someone can be hurt. If communication is our main form of interacting, you wouldn't want to already lose companions by offending them. However, what about the words that aren't considered offensive? When I look up the definition of shit, two definitions come up first: feces and a contemptible or worthless person. But we have altered its meaning. It now can be associated with how bad someone is at something or how awful they are as a person. It also has turned into a derogatory term, and it's not the only one. As a teenager, however, I hear these words said in almost every other sentence. Is it because we think we are cool and rebelling by using these words? Do we have to be hip and use slang? In a teenage setting, words like shit are now just seen as throwaway words. They don't mean anything to American kids. What about in other countries? Do teenagers also use slang words interchangeably without hesitation? I only speak one language, which in a world where there's a need for being bilingual, it hurts me. I struggle with learning language, and I tend to get confused by grammar and tenses. I awe over students at Brooks who've come from different countries, who come here and speak English, and what I perceive to be perfect English. They don't just speak English, but they are also forced to write persuasive and eloquent essays in English. I started to wonder, what if there was one universal language spoken by all? It would create less confusion, which would cause more to get done. Time is money. It would also make our society pretty boring. If we all spoke the same language, we'd slowly start to all become the same. The interesting thing about meeting new people is learning about their culture and ideas that has been shaped by their past. We all communicate we all communicate in one way or another, and without it, we just might still be hitting rocks together to make fire.